So you'll pour some water in there, the same thing, you want to get to that line, that's a measurement line on the flask.
Today we are trying to figure out if it is worth buying the more expensive mineral waters over the less expensive regular waters such as Deer Park and Dasani, which are less expensive than Smart Water in Fiji normally. The reason is because the Smart Water in Fiji are supposed to be mineral waters, and we're trying to figure out if those minerals are actually helping the water and if it's worth buying those kinds of waters over distilled or even just sink water.
You'll squirt it into a sample container that you'll keep that will be eventually injected onto the machine.
We are looking for a couple of like elements. So we're looking for like lithium, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And we're looking for them because those are minerals. And Fiji and Smart Water and places like that, they can say that they have them, but a lot of times you don't know how much is in there. And so we're just trying to compare, is it worth spending the money on like Fiji when it's a small, maybe a small container, or getting like a big bottle of Dasani or Deer Park? Is it the same amount?
We need precise measurements, because if one of these is off, then the whole standard's messed up, okay?
First, we collect the water and we're gonna put it in the metro and iron chromatograph, and we're gonna get a level as to how much there is of calcium, lithium, magnesium, potassium, sodium, and we're gonna use that level, and it's gonna be like our base. So that's what we're gonna go off of. And then we're gonna start adding just regular water, and we're gonna, see how much is in there, how much of the calcium. So we're gonna dilute it. So first, we'll probably put some calcium in a flask, and we'll end up adding the distilled or regular water just into it, and we're gonna see what the dilution level is, how much actually could be in a certain amount of fluid, and then we're gonna put those, into the Metrum iron chromatograph, and we're gonna analyze it all and try and match it up. And the reason you have to do this is because we're trying to figure out which ones are bad and which ones are good. With magnesium, some people can have seizures and they need magnesium.
I'm guessing we'll find a slight deviation between the Deer Park and Smart Water, but large deviations between the sink water and Smart Water, yeah.
The sample will come through the front door, right? So there's going to be the entry port for your sample. The sample will go through this tubing on the inside and go into what we call a pump.
I think that Fiji and Smart Water may have more minerals in them because they say they do, but also it's like the other ones don't claim to, or they don't claim to have a lot. So it's also, if you buy more water, is it going to have the same amount?
We'll take the syringe and we'll put it here into this top outlet, and this piece of tubing will go down into your water supply.
It's definitely going to be different than like distilled water and tap water and stuff. It's going to be I feel like there is going to be a greater number of minerals in the other water.
Some of these will be so large that I could see them with my own eyes on the computer screen. Other times they'll be really, really tiny.
We do a lot of our labs in a kitchen. We have about, this one of them, we use stoves. We don't have Bunsen burners. We only have about 3 beakers. And so, sometimes if you break them or something happens, you also just need more for the experiments. We've used jars, like just random jars, to just hold the liquid after we pour it in there. So if we got this grant money, we could get more equipment, and we could eventually, hopefully, get a lot of equipment.
The equipment that we would win from all this kind of stuff, we would be using that in our meeting place, and we don't really have that kind of stuff right now. So the amount of tests we actually get to do and the amount of experiments we get to do is very limited because we only have kind of regular house supplies instead of actual professional equipment, because we never really get to use this kind of stuff.
So once we got all the results from the samples we put in from the Fiji water and the tap water, the Deer Park, Dasani, Smart Water, we took the numbers and we plugged them in and we made a regression line.
When we looked at the results and everything, we found that Smart Water and Dasani at kind of the bottom with the least amount of minerals, and then it went to tap water, and then to Deer Park with being in second place. Fiji, which had more significant amount of minerals than any other water. It kind of just ran over the rest of the field in terms of how much it actually had.
So the one that had the most of the potassium, the magnesium, calcium, and the sodium was Fiji water. Smart Water had less than tap water, which was very surprising.
Well, it was very strange to see the tap water take third place in how many minerals it ended up having, because that was not only very surprising, but kind of disappointing compared to how much it costs to buy things like Dasani and Smart Water. Smart Water being the second most expensive water out of all 5. If you need mineral water, you can always go for Fiji, but if you really don't care about it, the cheapest water would end up being Deer Park, which still has enough minerals compared to Dasani and Smart Water. Tap water seems like the kind of thing that is very like just kind of whatever, and like nobody even really likes to drink it that much, but then it somehow is able to beat out 2 waters that are not only expensive but more expensive than the second place water, which, you know, is weirdly cheap.
I kind of walked away with, like, I guess you can't really like just read a label and go with it. You kind of have to like do your own research into something, because that was a very surprising result to me personally.